Okay, well, that's a couple of calls from Mitesh as well. Varun Goel is also with us from Motilal Oswal AMC. Varun, hi, good afternoon. Your thoughts on the bit of volatility that we have seen of late? Is it normal at elevated levels, and would you be using all dips to buy?
Good afternoon, Anuj. I think we are seeing a very good earnings recovery this year. I think we are trading at around 20 times on current year earnings, and come Diwali, the market will start looking at FY18 earnings. So from our point of view, we believe that with the earnings revival expected to happen in the second half of the year, the market is still good to invest in. Our sense is that a lot of quality names on the consumer durables and the consumer staples side will start showing good earnings growth, and therefore it's a good time to build a longer term equity portfolio.
Okay, so if it's a good time to build a long-term equity portfolio, this is perhaps the best opportunity that the market is giving the investors. If this cut deepens further, Varun, what do you suggest people buy at this time?
Well, we would continue to suggest names where we expect very, very strong earnings recovery. So housing finance, as a theme, we believe will do quite well. Clearly, consumer durable will be a big beneficiary of the 7th pay commission, money which has come into people's bank accounts. I think almost 50,000 crore has been transferred so far. And I think with the harvest of the Kharif crop, we will see more money coming into both rural and urban India. So we believe that consumer durables, again agrochemicals as a theme looks quite interesting. We believe that segment should do quite well this year. Auto ancillaries and auto OEMs also continue to do well. I think people will use the excess liquidity to buy into these kind of products. So I would think housing finance, auto ancillaries, consumer durables, agrochemicals, these are themes which look quite interesting.
Okay, let's get a quick insight into what's happening in the dealing rooms today, because we are seeing a bit of pressure, but are dealers really perturbed? Mangalam Malu is here with all the action. Mangalam.
Indeed, Sonia, we're at the low point of the day. I called a few dealers and also checked with Nimesh, who in turn spoke to a lot of dealers. And the feedback that one gets is that it is routine profit taking ahead of the global cues that came by yesterday when the ECB did put a hold to its bond buying program. Another thing that stood out was the flows at institutional desks. Those continue to remain tepid, considering the fact that there is some lack of fresh buying as far as today's trading session is concerned. Added to that, the domestic institutional investors, they continue to be net sellers, so we can expect some sell number coming in from the DIIs. And finally, because of yesterday, now all eyes will move next to the Fed meeting, which is later this month, on what the Fed commentary is likely to be. Till then, we are likely to be range bound, consolidating, but today is just a blip, perhaps some profit taking.
Okay, Malu, thanks a lot for that. Let's go across to Varinder then for a list of buzzing stocks.
Well, Anuj, few names today which are new names popping up in the small cap segment. Prime Property Development, Ojas Asset Reconstruction. And look at this company, Dynacos Technologies. That stock has surged nearly 60% this week and has been hitting circuits each and every day. Some other small cap gainers, Autoline Industries up 20%. All these smaller sugar companies are surging. Riga Sugar, which is up. Hindustan Composite, after the results coming in, up 15%. Look at for Copran, the volumes today are nearly 60 lakh shares compared to 10-day average of only 2 lakh shares. So important to see what happens in the bulk deal in the evening. Indian Metals, Financial Technologies, SIEL Limited, Everest Kanto, and all these infra companies, Patel Engineering, MBL Infra continues to surge. Beyond Global, Uniply Industries, R Systems, International Travel House, and Mukta Arts, they continue to gain. Among mid-cap gainers, you guys were mentioning about Escorts, ITNL, Allen Engineering, and other infra companies like Sunil High Tech, they are moving up. Vivimid, Kaya, Jindal Saw, Bombay Dyeing, Zensar are also moving up, anywhere between 5 to 10%. Some losers today, Mahamaya Steel, this stock has been just moving up in the small cap segment, today down 10%, and Purvankara, Pasavnath, Jagran Prakashan, Reliance Defense, all down nearly 5 to 6%.
Okay, Varinder, thanks for that. Well, we're just counting down to the last 5 minutes of trade, and those, as you can see, are all the mid-cap gainers flashing for you. ITNL 30%, Bombay Dyeing 20%. But let's talk about some large caps as well. Varun, the stock of the week undoubtedly has been Yes Bank on the downside. Almost a 10% cut this week after the deferral of that $1 billion QIP. For long-term investors who've made a lot of money, would you still suggest buying into names like Yes Bank, or would you get a bit cautious now?
Well, we continue to like private sector banking names, especially the larger ones. We believe that the asset quality continues to hold up there, and we believe that as the interest rates in the economy come down, as some of the interest rate cuts which RBI did last year do passed on to customers, the credit growth in the system is about to revive. I think interesting data point in this quarter's GDP numbers was that the nominal growth has crossed 10% for the first time in 7 quarters, and we believe that will start reflecting in credit growth numbers going forward. So I think the outlook for the banking space, of course, continues to look quite promising. Only thing is one needs to pick and choose companies or banks which are balance sheets more geared towards the retail lending side, and those which have good asset quality.
Okay, Ms. Tulsian, this morning, Rana Kapoor was quite candid, and he did admit that it was a lesson learned. This stock has done well. I mean, IPO at 45. So, to be fair, it's generated a lot of wealth, and it's been one of your favorite stocks, though you did recommend profit taking at around 1100, 1200 or slightly higher than that. At what price is it a buy again?
See, Anuj, definitely this is a case of aggressive pricing, and which has not got accepted by the QIP prospective investors. And we have discussed 2 days back, if you recall, day before when it was ruling at 1400 plus. At that time, I've said that if I have given a buy call at 650 or 700 in year 2016, and if we are seeing a profit of more than 100% or maybe 115%, why there is there is no reason to remain invested. And actually, at that time, I have hinted also that ahead of QIP, too much momentum or too much market making is seen into the stock, which is not seen healthy. But yes, coming to your point of the re-entry level, I in fact will see the situation getting stabilized, and then only will take a call. Maybe those level could be 1200. But as of now, I have remained, and in fact on that day before, I have said that I am replacing it with the RBL Bank and Kotak Mahindra from here on, because of maybe for a while Yes Bank will be off the radar from my list for recommending as a buy to the investors. But I will review the situation maybe for next 2 or 3 days. I am not saying that the bank is not a good buy, but maybe even at 1200 rupees one can look for re-entry into the stock. But I will wait for 3 or 4 days to review the buying call again on the stock.
Okay, well, we have 3 more minutes to go. Merabun, the auto space has been the space of the week, undoubtedly. Maruti, Tata Motors, all hitting fresh highs. But I wanted your thoughts on the two-wheeler space, because all stocks, Hero, Bajaj and Eicher Motors, have hit fresh highs ahead of the festive season. What would be your pick of the pack?
I would say from a very short-term angle, it could be TVS Motor, because the script had not performed all that well over the last 3 months, and it's just picking pace. But if you ask me from an investment angle, I would like to prefer Eicher Motors at number 1. But considering the traction we are seeing in this particular sector, the two-wheeler sector, I would possibly go with an auto NCW stock, and that is Lumax Autotech. I think it provides tubular parts for the two-wheeler and the three-wheeler sector, and looking at the traction, I'm quite confident the numbers should continue to be good. More or less a debt-free company, small equity of around 14 crores. I think this company's earnings in the current year, I'm expecting to be around 32 to 33 rupees, with around 40 rupees possible in 2017-18. So if you give it a PE of even 15, this stock has all the way up to 600 rupees from the present 425, 430, which is a clear appreciation around 40-45%. And in a sector which you rightly mentioned, auto, which is in focus, the auto NCD stocks, quite a few of them, most of them rather, Rane Brakes, Jabna Auto, all have moved 50, 60, 70% over the last 2-3 months. And this stock, for some reason, has been a laggard. So if it attracts attention, I think the stock, because of a small equity base, possibly could be a smart outperformer from here on, at least for the next 3 to 4 months.
Okay, 2 minutes left for markets to close. It's almost played out as per script today, which is that the market may have made a near-term top. One dip was bought, but then there was a second dip that also took place in the second half. And the market actually is closing at the low point of the day, at least on the Nifty, not on the Bank Nifty. That might keep bulls interested, but on the Nifty, we are actually closing at the low point of the day. In terms of stocks that drag the markets, banking names, of course. Yes Bank, second day running, was big loser, down 4%. Axis 2.5% lower on that stock, and a couple of others were also down in trade, like SBI. HDFC, non-banking financial, but that stock was also lower. Apart from that, ITC was down about 2.5%. ACC, Ultratech. So, theme today was profit taking, because if you see most of the losers today, most of them or all of them actually at some point had made lifetime highs or 52-week highs just about 2 or 3 days back. In fact, all the top 10 losers that you will see, with an exception of Cipla, were sitting at the recent highs. Bajaj Auto, HUL, all these stocks saw some profit taking in today's trade. Tata Motors, Larsen and Toubro were also down about close to 2%. And on the gaining side, of course, ONGC gained 3.5% higher on that. And TCS was up about 1.5%. IT sector, in fact, saw some buying today. TCS, Wipro, HCL Tech were all higher. So, Sonia, as we discussed in the morning, this was a clear case of a market which moved to the all-time highs, and the first attempt was unsuccessful. Though a lot of individual gainers were still there in the mid-cap space.
Oh yes, definitely. So the mid-cap index was down. It was down about almost 1%. The market breadth was weak. You had more than 1,000 stocks on the declining side. So let me start off with the losers first. SAIL was your biggest loser, down about 6% on the back of weak numbers. It had a couple of these gainers for company. Manappuram General, Jain Irrigation came in for some profit taking today, although they've been big gainers over the last couple of months. And then you had some of these real estate stocks that came in for profit taking. Unitech, HDIL, etc. have been under a bit of pressure. Now on the upside, Escorts was clearly the stock of the day, up 7%. We had a big move on a couple of these other names as well, the likes of IDBI Bank. Indiabulls Real Estate shot up. Bombay Dyeing was in the green. ITNL was your top gainer, up almost about 17 odd %. And Patel Engineering, another day running, that stock was up almost about 10 odd % or so. So all in all, you'd have to say that it was a day when the bulls decided to take some money home, which is always a good thing considering that the run-up has been so steep over the last many days. But let's just get some final comments in before we wrap up for the day. Merbun, BHEL was up 15% this week. Were you convinced with the numbers, or do you think it's just a trading pop that we saw?
Actually, this is a stock which I had mentioned when virtually everybody on the street was talking very negative about, because as far as I understand, and this is personal meet which I had some months ago, that the transformer sector of BHEL possibly is the best performing among all the transformer companies right now. So I think the stock, after the run from 120 to 165, 170 onwards, looking at the numbers, post the numbers, there is a correction in the stock, and possibly around 140, 145 levels. I think the stock could be worth a look in, because if you understand the power sector reforms, and if you believe that this company gets a large part of the revenue from the power sector, I think this is the stock which possibly could be looked at favorably if you have another 5-7% correction coming in the stock price.
Okay, Ashwini, final thoughts then. As of now, this market is sell and rally, but the larger trend is intact.
I hope so. Well, we could get down to 8750, 8700. So this looks like a correction has set in. So people should look to buy into strong stocks as and when we get to about 8750. But for the next few sessions, we could be, weak to sideways. But like you saw today, it won't be very easy to trade these corrections, because you will keep getting those bounce backs which will look like the real thing, and by the end of the day they'll fail. So this needs to be kept in mind.
Okay, gentlemen, we will wind down the day on that note. We are heading into a weekend, so it's time to unwind a bit for all of you and for us as well. It's almost the weekend yet again, and we are back with our Friday special Closing Bell Recommends.